off-season edition of Lakers Talk starts right now.
Here's Alan Sliwa.
All right, what is going on, Laker fans? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys hanging out all day here on 710 ESPN. We're going to go till 8 o'clock tonight. Final show for a couple of weeks here. We're going to take a couple of weeks off here. Obviously, a little vacation time, Labor Day after that. So we'll take a little time off before we get a little bit closer here to the Lakers season, at least getting a little bit closer to preseason and everything else. Got a full show tonight. Believe it or not, I don't care. August 19th, it doesn't matter. We have Laker topics. Funches is out there sweating like a madman. DeAndre won't stop sending me ideas. We got a lot of Laker stuff to hit on. Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation also does on YouTube the Front Office Report. Does a great job. He's going to join us in about a half hour. So one of the things I wanted to start off with, last week, this is the time of the year they kind of start leaking out. All right, here's what we got going on schedule-wise. Here's your opening night. Of course, the Lakers are a part of that. Here's Christmas. Of course, the Lakers are a part of that. Certain brands are always a part of it. Doesn't matter what the team is, where the team is. Usually the New York Knicks are a part of that. I used to make fun of the Detroit Lions because they were always in the mix on Thanksgiving. They're certainly now a good team, so that's a little bit different of a story. But the premier games, no shock, no surprise, Lakers are a part of it. A lot of nationally televised games. Actually, the Lakers have the most nationally televised games of any other team in the NBA. You know who's second? The Golden State Warriors. Do you know what the Lakers and the Warriors have in common? Yeah, I didn't really get very far last season. Lakers obviously out in the first round against the Denver Nuggets, and then the Golden State Warriors even make the playoffs. But the Lakers know, or not the Lakers, the NBA knows where their bread is buttered. It's buttered with LeBron James and Steph Curry. And as many times that you could put them on national TV, there's a good chance you're going to stop, you're going to watch that game. So that's the reason why those two teams are nationally televised as many times as they are this upcoming year. And it's hard to predict the Lakers this upcoming season because of how difficult the Western Conference is going to be, how competitive the West is going to be, what you can depend on, what are the role players going to look like. J.J. Redick has never coached an NBA game in his life, so I'm not sure what this upcoming season holds for the Lakers, and I think the Golden State Warriors falls in the same boat. But if it's a popularity contest, we know who the two players in the two franchises right now that are most popular. One thing that I did notice looking at the upcoming schedule, and for those who haven't got a chance to see this, they do start off the season. It's October 22nd against the Minnesota Timberwolves, so we're about a couple months away. They'll start preseason on October 4th. Usually that will be the week that they have media day. At least what's happened in the past, so I'm sure right in that window. So we're closing in. We're not that far away from the next Lakers season starting. But one of the things that I noticed looking at the schedule, I don't know if this is just the beginning of the year or this is just how it's going to be all season long. But play Minnesota, you play Phoenix, you play Sacramento. All three of those teams very likely to have a good chance to make the playoffs. Then you're on the road against Phoenix, Cleveland. Again, another two teams that will very likely make the playoffs. Phoenix, you're playing twice in the first 5 games. A couple layups, even though they're on the road. Toronto and Detroit, I shouldn't say layups. We've watched enough Lakers basketball that there's no such thing. Then you get into the Memphis part of the schedule. Ja Morant coming back. Philly's in that mix. What's Wemby going to look like? The Pelicans on the road, always a tough place to play for the Lakers. They added DeJounte Murray. The point I'm trying to make here, looking at the schedule, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for any of these teams in the Western Conference. We obviously know that. But giving J.J. Redick time to kind of gel with the crew, you're not really going to have all that much time for that to happen. The Lakers getting off to a good start. I don't know if you guys know this, but the last couple of years, it's been interesting how the Lakers have started. And I think they've dug themselves a hole. And it doesn't have to be the first 5 games or the first 10 games, but by the time you get to January 1st, are you in the thick of things, or are you so far behind that now you got to play virtually your best basketball to be in the mix and to get into one of those playoff spots by the time you get to the end of the year? The Lakers have basically been in the latter the last couple of years, and that's why I was interested and I was looking. I know last year they started the season out 3-5, and then they went on a winning streak. I know the year before that, if you guys remember Darvinham's first year, They started the season out 2-10 before they, obviously started making a little bit of noise and just making it a little bit more respectable. But it really was more about how the Lakers have finished the last couple of years. That to me is, I think, the one thing I've paid most attention to is the competition in the Western Conference. There's really just two teams that have no interest in winning, and I'm talking about the Portland Trailblazers and the Utah Jazz. At least it seems like it. San Antonio Spurs will be better next year. The Memphis Grizzlies clearly will be much better next year. Sacramento, New Orleans, there's a lot of teams that are kind of right in the middle, like, I'm not sure what this team is. Golden State, they're going to compete. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to compete. And I'm not even talking about any of the elite teams. These are just the teams that are kind of hanging around either the bottom of the Western Conference or right in that middle of where the Lakers have been. Listen, you play the same teams every year. Obviously, you play the Eastern Conference twice a year, one there, one on the road. So there's not really anything special from that perspective, but I just look at the competition that's around the NBA right now. There's no layups. There's no gimmies. And anytime you even think there's a gimme, that's when you get blasted on the road and you end up losing by 20 against the Toronto Raptors because you thought it was just going to be a walk in the park. That's what the Lakers got coming in front of them, and that's certainly what J.J. Redick has in front of him as well. I was looking at something else. I was kind of just paying attention to this, and you see a lot of different teams out there, or a lot of different networks. ESPN was one of the networks that ranked where the Lakers are in the Western Conference, and that power ranking, they ranked the entire NBA, but if you just took the Western Conference, they had the Lakers at number 10. And it got me thinking, and this was a topic that we had a while back, but it got me thinking about what are the things we feel good about this upcoming year, and what are the things that are the biggest challenges or the biggest question marks this upcoming season. So I listed out a few here, and I'll give my idea, my concept of what I feel like. All right, yeah, that's the one I would really worry about. That I'm less concerned about. But I think some of the challenges for the Lakers, or some of the question marks that are out there, do we have any idea what J.J. Redick is going to be? Do we have any idea at all if J.J. Redick is going to be a coach in the NBA that 5 years from now, is he still coaching in the NBA? Is he a head coach still? Did he get fired by the Lakers and then had to take an assistant coach job for a certain amount of time before he gets his next opportunity? Can't all those variables or all those scenarios play out? And would it be a shock if any of them happened? I think the bigger shock would be, hey, J.J. Redick's a great coach. And I say that would be a bigger shock just simply because I've never seen him coach before. He never coached at the high school level, never coached at the college level, certainly hasn't coached at the NBA level. And listen, I'm not here to tell you that it's not going to work, but if you ask one of the biggest question marks that the Lakers have this upcoming season is this coach ready to coach this team? Is this coach ready to be coaching a franchise like the Los Angeles Lakers where the expectations are ridiculous every single year? Every single year they're ridiculous. We could try to sugarcoat it. They get to the Western Conference Finals, and you say, oh, man, that was, that came out of nowhere. Well, they better win it next year. It's like, all right, well, based off of what? But that's the expectations that the Lakers have, and that's fine. That comes with a few brands that are out there, the Yankees, the Lakers, I don't want to throw the Dallas Cowboys in there because you got to, you have to have been able to stack up some Super Bowls in order to have that conversation. But there's certain brands out there where it's basically you got to win the whole thing or nothing, and Lakers are certainly one of those brands. J.J. Redick's never coached before. He may not be a bad coach, and the Lakers can still have a bad season. That can happen. I think one of the other bigger challenges that the Lakers are going to have, and I think this comes off of last year, what if the star players who were remarkably healthy last season, what if that's not the scenario this year? How much, if you look at this upcoming season, you don't really have much margin for error here. And I think Anthony Davis is the most important piece of them all just because of what he does on both sides of the floor. And that's not me undermining how important LeBron's going to be, but Anthony Davis played over 75 games this past year. Bron played 72 games this past season. That's one of the things that worries me when I look at this Lakers team. It's like, okay, did something change? Is that all of a sudden what those two players can be? It's not realistic for me to say this, especially for LeBron. Can LeBron do that for a next couple of years? Can he play 70-plus? I don't think so. I know Travis and I talk about this in the morning. If you told me you can get LeBron for 60 games, you signing up for it? I'm signing up for it. Perfect, I think, number would be 65, but I would take a 60. Now, LeBron has been ridiculous, and every time that we talk about him, whatever your perception or your perspective is on LeBron, he just blows that out of the water. But the AD piece of 75 plus, okay. What if AD ends up playing 65 games this year? What does that do to the Lakers' win-loss record? What if LeBron's only able to go around 60 games this year? What does that do to the Lakers' win-loss record? But I think of all the challenges that the Lakers might have this year, and if you're listing out some of the things that you're most concerned about going into the season, for me, it's, I think, less to do with J.J. Redick. I think it's less to do with the star players being healthy, and I'm obviously hoping both of those go well. I think the biggest question mark for the Lakers is this roster good enough to compete in the West? Is it good enough? Continuity we can't really talk about anymore because this is going to be they played half a season together and then a full season last year. This is going to be going into, you can call it their third year, even though it's not 3 full years. I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think the bigger issue is going to be, is your team and your roster as good as, pick the team, Denver, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Dallas. And I'm talking about night in and night out, because it doesn't feel like the Lakers, and I don't think this is a shock or a surprise, it doesn't feel like the Lakers are top tier in the Western Conference. I think we all understand that, but I don't even think they have to be top tier. I think they just need to be hanging out of that play-in tournament, and as the season progresses, hopefully Rob Pelinka can put him in a position where he can make some kind of move to improve that roster. But that, to me, I think is going to be the biggest challenge. Is night in and night out, do you have enough guys that you could depend on, that there's enough consistency, that those role players are going to be there on a consistent basis to compete in the Western Conference? So it should be a fun season for the mere fact I think there's a lot of question marks. I don't think this is a team that you're looking at and you're like, yep, I pretty much know what I'm going to get night in and night out. I think there are certain teams in the Western Conference and in the East that you already kind of know what they are, and I don't think the Lakers are part of that conversation, at least up to this point. Okay, let's do a couple things here when we get back. Rich Paul, Mark Stein's Substack had something about talking about Rich Paul wants this nonsense to stop about the Lakers and the Warriors, and potentially LeBron almost got traded and in the offseason and all that stuff. But there was a certain piece of that article that I thought was interesting, and it's something Travis and I disagreed on this morning, and it was about LeBron's legacy if he left the Lakers at some point to go chase a ring. So we'll do that coming up next, and DeAndre also wants to break down the NBA Cup. He loves the NBA Cup. Loves the NBA Cup. We'll do that all coming up next. Stay right here. This is Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN.
There's nothing like NHL hockey, LA Kings hockey on 710 ESPN. Welcome to the family.
Brand new partnership. We're excited to have the Kings right here, the home of the Los Angeles Kings. And Trav, now I just need an invitation to go catch a game.
You have been giving you one forever. Now you have to
across the street. Now it's across the street.
Go Kings, go.
Go Kings, go.
The Kings are back on 710 ESPN. Believe it or not, I did pregame for the Kings 25 years ago. Damn, I'm old. Luke Robitaille, the rest of the Kings organization couldn't be more excited. Go Kings, go.
Go Kings, go. Nothing like live hockey. Nothing like seeing it in person. Nothing like watching it on TV. Nothing like listening to it on the radio. And we've got them on ESPN LA. Go Kings, go.
We're so excited the LA Kings have found a new home right here on 710 ESPN. Can't wait to see you on the ice.
I want to congratulate the LA Kings. You are now on the greatest sports radio station in America, 710. And guess what? Now I get to be one of the ice girls at a Kings game. Go Kings, go. Go Kings, go. Go Kings, go.
Lakers Talk with Alan Sliwa.
I almost feel like the Lakers and LeBron it's a business relationship first at this point. He signed his extension. He could have went somewhere else if he wanted to. But I think both sides understand that this is good for business. Now, that doesn't mean that LeBron doesn't want to still win and compete for an NBA championship. And it doesn't mean that the Lakers front office don't want to win and compete for an NBA championship.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. More Lakers Talk with Sliwa rolls on.
Here's Alan Sliwa.
All right, Trevor Lane coming on at 7:30. Continue to talk Lakers basketball here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to be a part of the show, 877-710-ESPN. D-Don in Long Beach. What's going on, brother? Thank you for calling in.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you.
Okay. I like the statement that you made that this is a business relationship with LeBron James, and I think that's what's hurting the Lakers. We can't figure out the balance of business and basketball, and right now we're trying to fill out the seats, and we're putting all our faith in AD and LeBron, and nobody wants to admit this has been a failure. One championship, which is with an asterisk on it, by the way, and nothing else to show for it. And everybody keeps saying we have a chance because we have two of the best in the NBA, and now we're trying to blame the roster. The roster is not that bad, but why would we bring back D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves in the backcourt? That's no speed, and I just don't understand how people would expect that to win a championship. All you have to do is change the backcourt and get a serious.
D-Don, appreciate you calling in. Thank you. Okay, a couple things I want to hit on. Number one, the whole LeBron and Anthony Davis winning one championship is not enough. I'm just going to give you my opinion. This is one person's opinion. And the asterisk on the winning the NBA Finals that year in 2020. I remember when LeBron signed. And listen, this is part of Sports Talk Radio. Hey, LeBron James is coming to the Los Angeles Lakers. If he won one NBA championship, would you be satisfied? Most Laker fans at that time said, yeah, I would be satisfied. Let's put Laker fans to the side for a quick second. Just my own personal opinion. Once they won the championship in 2020, I looked at it at its house money moving forward. I really did believe that. And I still believe that today. That doesn't mean that I don't want them to compete, but if the Lakers didn't win an NBA championship, the conversation would be a lot different about LeBron and Anthony Davis. They got one. And if you don't want to give them credit for winning that championship in 2020, they were 52-19 in the regular season. They were one of the few teams that had a legitimate shot of winning an NBA championship. I don't know what you want me to tell you. That team was stacked. What makes you think that Lakers team wasn't going to win a championship with LeBron, Anthony Davis, Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Alex Caruso? That team was stacked. I don't think it was a surprise or a shock that the Lakers won it. And if people just want to say, well, it's a surprise they won it because they won it in Orlando, I don't know what you want me to that team was really, really good. And that front office put together a good squad. And if you want to point out the mistakes that Rob Pelinka and the front office has made, go ahead and make them. But that's after 2020. That team was really, really good. That team had the perfect combination of veterans, youth, defense, offense, guys that played their roles, and oh, by the way, they had LeBron and Anthony Davis. Their current situation, I think there is something about their current situation, the current situation of the business side of things. I think the Lakers and LeBron, it is 100% a business relationship, and both want to win championships, but let's just not forget that ultimately at the end of the day, all of this is a business, and one of the things that Dr. Jerry Buss was able to do, I think better than any other owner, you can make the argument in professional sports. The entertainment was there, the star power was there, and oh by the way, the winning came too. And that was obviously what made him arguably the best. Lakers have some work to do with this roster. This roster, as is, I don't think can win an NBA championship, and I think many people think that that's the case. Can you make tweaks? Do you still have a couple first-round picks? Can you use guys like D'Angelo Russell potentially to make some kind of trade or something along those lines? I think you can. We'll see what happens. Solomon from Lake Balboa. What's going on, Solomon?
Hey, man, it's good to hear your voice, Alan. That lets me know that Lakers season is nice and close.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling.
You opened up an old wound. You really opened up an old wound. To talk about that championship team and how stacked it was and how the Lakers just let that really slip away. That could have been at least a little bit of a run. I want to throw this at you, and you call me crazy. I know, close doesn't get you anything except maybe in horseshoes, but these past couple of seasons, they did compete with Denver. I mean, they gave them a run. There were some games there, one or two breaks, and it's a different series. I don't know if they win it, but it certainly would have been a different outcome. You could almost say, were they that far away had they had a few more pieces or maybe a few more players that weren't injured and could have gotten at least farther in the playoffs, if not, a championship, but at least, did better than they did.
Yeah, I think, Solomon, I think I look at it a little bit differently, to be honest with you. And I appreciate you calling in. I'm not making the argument that the Lakers weren't close to Denver, but are we gauging the games by how close the games were, how big of a lead that the Lakers had, or the end result? Because a close series is 4-3. It's not 4-1. A close series is, a critical Game 5 that could have went either way, and it was a dogfight in Game 7. The Lakers and the Sacramento Kings back in the 2000 range, those were great series. The Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs back in the days, those were great series. Lakers and the Nuggets, nobody is going to remember and say, do you remember that series, how close those games were, and the Lakers lost 4-0? They got swept? I'm sorry, but you can't. And they're also losing to them in the regular season. I think we like to convince ourselves that the Lakers were this close to making something special happen. What makes you think they were going to lose in the next round to the Minnesota Timberwolves? I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion on that. I understand the actual games were close. The series were not. And that's in the playoffs. That's outside of the playoffs. Denver has dominated them. I got a question for DeAndre and Funches there. NBA Cup. We're looking at the Lakers schedule, and we're looking at some of the different things to watch. NBA Cup, Lakers are in West Group B, and it includes the following teams. Got OKC in there. It's got Phoenix in there, Utah, and San Antonio. Do you care any more about the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, or do you think it's going to lose a lot of shine after that first year?
I believe it's going to lose a little bit of shine only because the viewers know what to expect now.
I agree with that. Which, by the way, that's okay, right?
Yeah, it is okay. I mean,
it's just the regular season.
Exactly, and then they made an attempt, and they're trying to switch things up. Maybe switch the groups up a little bit. I've seen what they did, but I mean, I feel like it's going to lose viewership only because people know what to expect.
And you know what they need to do to kind of make the viewers
Tell me,
come back?
Funches.
They need
the hell
to,
do they need to
they
do?
Need to put like a playoff berth on the line or something. Like something else more than just money. Like something.
Yeah,
like
that was a big chatter. Okay, so my relationship is this just a Laker fan, but my relationship with the NBA Cup, I'm feeling all of a sudden I'm like, I don't want to win that thing again. I felt like it was embarrassing that we won it, and then we went on this just awful losing streak after that, and a lot of people. It's fair to say you go look at those results. Lakers were trying to win the NBA Cup, but I think it did have some type of an effect on the Lakers for at least a certain amount of time. They kind of shot all their bullets in the NBA Cup, and oh, by the way, I don't even really know what the result is and what the positivity of winning the NBA Cup is. And I know people are going to say, yeah, you got to be a fan of the NBA and this is for the NBA and you got to be there for change. That's fine. That's all good. But I didn't mind having the NBA Cup, but I do feel like it will lose a little bit of shine, and I think that's normal anytime you're doing something that you're already accustomed to.
Can they get rid of like the courts and stuff too? Like that was oh my goodness, man.
But isn't that the only reason why they did it? Is so you know that it's an NBA Cup game?
That's exactly why they did it. And
yeah.
obviously with the city, I believe it's the city edition uniforms that go along with the court too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I just feel like they were trying to gravitate the audience too much. You know what I mean? Instead of
what's it called now? The Emirates NBA Cup. Yeah, fellas, it's not going anywhere. That's it.
I'm okay not going to Vegas. I'm okay not going to Vegas.
No, I'm saying that they got Emirates. The sponsorship is there. Yeah, this bad boy.
But you know what? I'm okay not going to Vegas. I'm okay with them Lakers just losing every Cup game and somehow getting to the Western Conference Finals again in May.
Yeah, just listen. It's. What was it, the semifinal? No, just the final game doesn't count towards your standings, right? So the competition is going to be tough. I mean, the Lakers group with OKC in there, with Phoenix in there, with San Antonio, it's going to be fun, but they're still just technically regular season games. All right, the only other thing that I'll say is, that banner hanging there. I got to see that thing every time that I walk into crypto. I might be the biggest hater of that whole thing. I'm not much of like a get off my lawn guy. I feel like I have taken the torch of get off my lawn when it comes to some elements of the NBA Cup. All right, our good pal Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation, he's coming up next. We'll spend some time talking about some of the things that we've already got into. I'm curious to get Trevor's thoughts on a couple other things as well, and then I'll also ask him what he thinks of the beautiful in-season NBA tournament banner that hangs at Crypto.com Arena. We'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Lakers Talk 710 ESPN.
Hey, ESPN LA listeners, it's John Ireland. You want to play golf with me and corporate Greg Bergman? You can, thanks to Terranea. If you listen to the show, you know Terranea is my favorite place in the world. It's like going to Hawaii without getting on a plane. Well, you can play golf with Bergman and I at the links at Terranea, and then we'll buy you lunch. Here's how you win. Send a video of your golf swing to @ESPN Los Angeles on Instagram or on Twitter. We'll take a look at your golf swing. If you impress us, you'll be playing golf at Terranea with me and Bergman, and then we'll buy you lunch. And you can all you can eat, all you can drink. We don't care. We're not paying.
Phenomenon returns.
We lifted that floorboard up. Lo and behold, a trench.
With 10 all-new episodes.
Because of the screenshots he left behind, he was a hero.
It's like she was calling out to us from the grave.
I couldn't believe it.
We were shocked.
I see this. He just recorded his own murder.
We got a serial killer off the street.
How I Caught My Killer. Now streaming only on Hulu. Lakers Talk with Alan Sliwa.
Nobody talks Lakers like Alan Sliwa on Lakers Talk.
Is J.J. Redick an NBA coach? How are we supposed to know if J.J. Redick is an NBA coach? I got no way of telling. Never coached on the college level, never coached in the NBA level, didn't come through an assistant farm system like a lot of these other coaches do. So that's a fair question to have before even the season starts, before we get even anywhere close to the season starting, having the question about J.J. Redick.
Another edition of Lakers Talk continues. Presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Proudly founded by premier physicians in partnership with Hoag. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Alan Sliwa.
I appreciate you guys hanging out on this Monday. Want to welcome in a good friend of the show, Trevor Lane, does Lakers Nation, host Lakers Nation, does a fantastic job on YouTube. Also, the Front Office Show, another really good show that Trevor's a part of. Trev, what's going on, brother? Thank you for coming on.
Alan, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back on and talk some Lakers basketball here.
All right, I'm going to just start with this because I feel like I'm a get off my lawn guy on the NBA Cup And let me explain. Let me properly explain this because I know you're probably rolling your eyes right now. We're just talking about the NBA Cup and the Lakers group that it's in. So OKC, Phoenix, Utah, and San Antonio. You think this loses a lot of that steam because it's the second year, or no? This is. I know it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. But just from a viewership perspective, and interest level, and entertainment factor, what do you think from year one to year two? What happens?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got a point in terms of the casual fans checking in and just, oh, this is something new. Let's go see what this is all about. Maybe you do lose a little bit of interest in that sense. I'm going to be watching the games regardless. And Alan, I'm a big fan of the in-season tournament, or the NBA Cup as it's now known, but really just for one specific reason. And that's because we get playoff intensity basketball in November. And as long as that continues to be a thing, as long as the players are still bought in, I'm in. That's the bottom line for me. But I do think we do see maybe a little bit of a dip in terms of the interest just because the newness will have worn off. But as long as the players are still approaching it the same way, as long as the guys are still going 100%, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I don't know that the Lakers go 100% the way they did quite last year, but I'm excited for the NBA Cup.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be my next question. Is it a good thing that you go? It clearly had an effect on the Lakers after they won the NBA Cup, and that banner was raised up in those rafters next to all the other championships. Trevor Lane. I don't know if that was a good thing for them that they shot so many of their bullets in December. They were clearly trying to win. There was a point differential that was there. Do you think there's also there comes some strategy to this down the run? I know the games count towards the regular season, and that obviously is why these games are meaningful, is because you just want to win these games anyways. It goes towards the standings except for the championship game. But do you think the Lakers are a good example of, hey, also be strategic with this thing, understanding that it is an 82-game grind?
Yeah, they are a bit of a cautionary tale because we saw what happened. The Western Conference is completely unforgiving. I mean, there's no margin for error in the NBA's Western Conference, and they went on that terrible stretch after the in-season tournament. We knew they were going to have to take their foot off the gas to some degree. It was going to happen. There was no way they could continue at that pace all season long. And once they did that, unfortunately, they fell into that slump. It was like, 2-12 or something they went during that stretch in December and a little bit into January. And that was really the undoing of their season, was that stretch. Had they just played, say, 500 basketball, they would have finished as a playoff team and not even a play-in team, and who knows what would have happened from there. So I do think that winning the NBA Cup did come back to bite them a little bit. And so I think the Lakers will take that lesson to heart. I think they won't go quite to the same degree as they did last season. I'm curious to see if other teams do as well, but yeah, I think it did ultimately burn them, but they wanted to make sure that they were the first NBA Cup champions ever, and they accomplished that goal.
Trevor Lane, the Lakers Nation, hanging out here on Lakers Talk. Trevor, schedule came out last week, and no surprise, nationally televised games, Lakers number 1 on that list. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors number 2 on that list. Any surprise that it's those two teams that are going to be – I guess what I'm trying to get to here is think about where the Lakers finished. Think about where the Golden State Warriors finished. I know it's LeBron and it's Steph Curry. I mean, heck, we just watched the USA Olympic team win another gold medal, and Steph Curry, I don't need to talk about. LeBron, I don't need to talk about. What, aside from those two players – what games or what teams or what individual players are you more excited to watch just from a development perspective? Is it the Anthony Edwards of the world? Is it Wemby that you want to see? Is there a certain team that it's the Oklahoma City Thunder that you're keeping an eye on? I'm just kind of curious from an NBA perspective, outside of the names that we talk about all the time, that you're most excited to watch this year.
Yeah, so Alan, there's actually 3 teams that I've got. They're at the top of my non-Lakers list, and those 3 teams are the Memphis Grizzlies, the Sacramento Kings, and the New York Knicks. And for different reasons for all 3 of them. I think the Kings, the DeMar DeRozan experiment, I think it's going to work. I think he solved some of the problems that they had last season, so I'm excited to see that team. Plus, they're just a fun kind of all-offense group to watch if I'm flipping around on League Pass. The Grizzlies, I think, are getting slept on. They are not the team that we saw last season when they had more than a full team, the full roster's worth of injured players at the end of the season. Literally 16 guys on their injury report out at the end of the season there.
Oh, I think I remember that. I think Lakers played them late. That was maybe second or third to last game of the year. And you're right. There was basically a full roster. Lakers almost lost that game, but it was a full roster of guys that were out.
Yeah, exactly. And they have this really talented team that just everybody was hurt last year. They add Zach Edey in. I think there's plenty of intrigue around Memphis. And then the Knicks, I just love the way they play basketball, the way they're just going to go after you on the offensive glass. They're going to try to be more physical than you. They're going to dig in defensively. Tom Thibodeau's going to play everybody 48 minutes, and they're just a fun team to watch. So those are my three teams right now that I'm really keeping an eye on heading into the season. Now that the schedule is released, those are the teams I'm going to be circling their games. OKC is absolutely up there as well, but it's those three for me that I'm going to be keeping a real close eye on, outside of course, the Lakers.
I was spending a little time on this, that biggest challenges for the Lakers this upcoming year, and I was listing a few out there. And you tell me which one would be most concerning to you, or maybe you don't have concern there. I listed, obviously, the question of, hey, is J.J. Redick, is he an NBA-ready coach? I have no idea. LeBron and Anthony Davis, the star players, they were so healthy last year. Is there some concern that, can these guys play another 70 games plus? And then the last one that I listed on there was, could it just be, is the roster not good enough to really, really compete in this Western Conference? Of all the things, all the variables that are out there, what's one or two things that you're most paying attention to or have some concern on coming into this season?
The most concerning for me, Alan, is the second one that you said. It was the injury status of LeBron and Anthony Davis. And part of that is the third concern, that they just might not be good enough. We may not know if the Lakers are suffering too many injuries. They were actually an incredibly injured team. I believe they finished as the second most injured team last season to the Memphis Grizzlies, but just LeBron and Anthony Davis were healthy. Everybody else got hurt a ton, but LeBron and AD were healthy, so we typically think of the Lakers as a relatively healthy team last season. But you lost Taurean Prince, you lost Spencer Dinwiddie, and you replaced them with Bronny James. I don't know that he's playable in an NBA game. And then you've got Dalton Knecht, who's a rookie. I think he's going to be good. I don't know how many minutes you can put on him right away. So I actually think that the depth of this team is a concern going into the season, or the lack of depth, I should say. And so if you do start to suffer injuries, this team gets thin very, very quickly. So that health piece is going to be, I think, extremely important. It is a big concern because, once again, you don't have a lot of guys that can fill in should LeBron, should AD need some nights off. They played in the Olympics. What's their ramp-up process going to look like? So that's a big concern for me. And if there's too many injuries, we may not get a sense of how good this team really is or isn't, which is what they really need to know, exactly where this team is at ahead of the trade deadline, because I think that's another piece to this. We're going to be waiting to see, is there a move? Are there two moves that they're going to make ahead of the trade deadline to see if they can make that next push? They need to find out what exactly they've got and don't have. And if the injury bug hits them hard, they're not going to get a chance to do that.
Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation hanging out here on Lakers Talk. How much do you think the Vando and the Gabe Vincent piece can – listen, I know they obviously would much rather have them than not have them last year. Vando was a player that was, I thought, incredibly important to have on this team. But how much do you think those two players, without adding anything, like you mentioned, Dalton Knecht, Bronny James, Dalton Knecht, we'll see what kind of opportunities he gets, but how much can those two players, you feel like, actually impact what the Lakers are doing day to day?
Yeah, I think that they can make a difference. I mean, Gabe Vincent was brought in to be the Dennis Schroeder replacement, and the Lakers were very excited to be able to get him. Can he go back to being the guy we saw 2 years ago in Miami? If he can do that, then yes, he absolutely makes a difference. And with Jarred Vanderbilt, I think what he does is actually more than what he really does on the floor. What he does for the team is more than what he does on the floor, because what Jarred Vanderbilt can do is allow a D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves backcourt to be more tolerable on the defensive end, because Vando can make up for the defensive concerns of those two together. I think he unlocks that duo to some degree. So he has an outsized impact. Now, last we heard about a month ago, J.J. Redick dropped that Jarred Vanderbilt still had rehab to do this summer. That's a little bit concerning. What kind of shape is he going to be in to start the season? But nonetheless, I do think they can make an impact. I think they can make a difference. The concern is if LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't quite healthy all season like we saw last year, if they don't play 76 and 71 games respectively, does the impact of Vando and Gabe Vincent, if they're healthy, is that diluted because LeBron James and Anthony Davis don't play as much? That would be the concern there. But if everybody's healthy, yeah, I think those guys can make a difference. I don't think they're enough to jump you into contention or something, but those guys can make a difference for this team for sure.
Trev, final one, brother, and we'll let you go, and always appreciate the time. Kind of looking at LeBron and Anthony Davis and what they were able to do for the USA Olympic team. And listen, I don't think it's too much of a surprise or a shock. It's still ridiculous to see Bron doing what he's doing at this stage, even with the best players in the world on his team. But just kind of looking at those two, what can either one of those two players do this upcoming year? And however you want to kind of target either one of these guys, can you ask for any more? Is it AD, hey, I want him more aggressive primarily in fourth quarter games? Is it Bron? I don't know. You could try to find something on LeBron. I don't think all of a sudden he's just going to become the 2016 defensive player that Bron was. But from your stars, can you ask anything more from them?
Yeah, I think from Anthony Davis you can, and you're going to have to. From LeBron, I don't think. I mean, LeBron's turning 40 in December. I don't think you can ask for more from him. Anthony Davis, J.J. Redick's talked about him becoming the hub of the offense and him being a central piece and then getting those looks. So in terms of is it more, I think it's more of just a tweak in terms of how they are using Anthony Davis, being more deliberate and making sure that he's getting the ball in the fourth quarter. You can ask for more in that sense. Are you asking for more intensity, for more aggression from AD? I don't know about that. I think it's more just tweaking the role a bit, and that's going to be part of J.J. Redick's task coming in. I think ultimately these guys have proven in the Olympics that they are still very much good enough. They are still two of the very best, if not the best, American players in the NBA. That's what we saw in the Olympics, and that just, to me, it should embolden the front office to make the move. Whenever the moves appear, to make that move, go all in, because these guys have it. I don't think they're going to give you more than what you've got right from them right now, but I think what you're getting from them right now is enough if you have the right pieces around them, and it's going to be on the front office sometime before trade deadlines, February 6th. Sometime before then, they've got to add some firepower to this team to give them a chance to make that move,
Trev,
make that run.
It's funny because if I'd have told you, I love how just matter of fact you are, go make a move. That tells me that, what you think of this roster. And it's not that the roster is terrible. It's just if the goal is to win an NBA championship, I don't think it's going to be enough. But if I'd have told you that you were going to go last year's trade deadline plus NBA offseason and no move was going to be made, would that surprise you, or do you think this was not the right strategy, but, hey, just wait for the right move, wait for the right move? Are you surprised where they're sitting at right now and they still have those picks and didn't eventually make a move?
100%. I'm shocked. I'm disappointed. I know a lot of Lakers fans are disappointed. I mean, I would have never guessed that they'd go through the trade deadline and the whole summer with no additions in free agency or on the trade market. It's crazy. You've got LeBron James. The clock is ticking, and that's part of the problem, right? Teams are holding that over their heads. Hey, you have to make a move. It's hard to find the right move. But, I am shocked that this is where we're at right now, that we're still waiting for that move to be made. Maybe it will pay off, and they'll find the right move by the trade deadline, and we'll say, you know what, the waiting, the patience, it was worth it. But for right now, I think Lakers fans have to be, if nothing else, at least disappointed that they haven't made that all-in move up to this point. Hopefully it's still coming, but because LeBron and AD, they can still get it done.
Trev, great stuff, brother. Thank you for coming on. We are not that far away from getting ready to get training camp started and everything else. So thank you for joining us, and I know you and I will be in touch soon.
Sounds good, Alan. Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man. All right, that's Trevor Lane, Lakers Nation. We got crunch time coming up next. A couple NBA stories that I want to get into. I still didn't get into this Rich Paul stuff on Mark Stein's Substack in regards to Bron and that potential trade that was supposedly happening at the trade deadline. Didn't get anywhere, obviously. So we'll do all that coming up next. Stay right here. This is Lakers Talk on 710 ESPN.
It's ticking, and it's all coming down to the wire. You know what that means.
This is crunch time.
Funch is going to throw a couple NBA stories my way, and me, Funches, and DeAndre are going to talk a little bit about it.
What's up, Slee? Here's Slee and producer Michael Funches.
All right, Funches, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, my man? How you doing? We're good?
Yeah, doing good here. Trying to, I kind of like what Trevor was saying there towards the end. Trev basically very disappointed that Lakers did nothing. And not to say that's a complete shock or a surprise, but I love you got those picks, spend the damn picks, and, give this team a real shot of winning.
And we saw what AD and LeBron did in the Olympics. They're still at the top of their game when they're healthy. So if you just put a little bit more help around them.
I was just going to say, they need the right help. That's the bottom line. We had a caller earlier that was saying, I can't believe they re-signed D'Angelo Russell. Or by the way, that wasn't their choice. D'Angelo Russell had an option in his contract, and he took it because the Lakers couldn't trade him, and he wasn't going to go anywhere.
But the good thing is that he has a tradable contract if anybody wants him.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody wants
That's
it.
The thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Maybe it's more tradable now because it's expiring, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got there?
All right, so big rumor that came out over the weekend. Mark Stein on his Substack newsletter was reporting that Rich Paul reportedly squashed the talk of LeBron James going to the Warriors. Remember, we got that rumor last season?
I do remember that, yep.
Yeah.
Trade deadline.
Trade deadline. We heard that, the Warriors might be interested in teaming up LeBron and Steph Curry, and we saw, again, in the Olympics what happens when you have LeBron and Steph Curry. It's like magic.
Yeah, listen, I don't think anything was ever going to happen there. Yeah, Trav and I were talking about this morning, and you guys can tell me what you guys think about this. Let's say this season happens, nothing happens. LeBron signed a 2-year extension, right? Let's say next season, Lakers they're awful. They're not playing good for whatever reason. They're not going to make the playoffs. And LeBron, before the trade deadline, says, all right, this is my final year of playing basketball. It will be his 23rd season in the NBA. Decides, you know what, I don't want to play my final games without some meaning to it. I'd like to make the playoffs and see if I can go somewhere. Would you feel a certain way about LeBron if he decided, I'm going to go chase, I want one more shot at winning a championship and I want to make the playoffs? Do you think that would change the way you perceive LeBron at all if he did that? Not this year, but the following year and the final year of his contract and what could be potentially his final year in the NBA.
Listen, I would not mind or whatever, but I'm sure the whole NBA world, NBA Twitter, everybody would be saying, like, look at this guy switching teams again. He's a ring chaser. He doesn't deserve to be the best player of all time.
Does he have that perception? I don't feel like he has that perception.
I wouldn't say he has that perception.
Came to a Lakers team that literally couldn't make the playoffs for 5+ years. Mm-hmm. They were at the absolute bottom. In Cleveland, got them their first championship in God knows how many years, or I can't remember if it was the first in franchise history. If the one that you want to say was ring chasing was in Miami, but he was there for 4 years. I mean, I don't know. I feel like LeBron, everything is already stamped. As far as his legacy goes, I don't feel like there's anything he could do that would hurt his legacy at this point.
I mean, his legacy is still hurt from leaving Cleveland the first time. People still bring it up.
They bring it up. That's fine. They could bring it up, but
But it could have been just the way that he left Cleveland, with that
decision.
The
way he left is probably that's fair to say. But do people look at LeBron like KD did? Obviously go to the Golden State Warriors. He went to the best team in the NBA, a 73-team win squad. And he won 2 chips. What has he done since then? Like they're
ring
polar.
He's ring chased since then. He ring chased.
But he ring chased then, and then he has been on. He's been the best player on X amount of teams, and they've gone nowhere. They've done nothing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't feel like that would change his legacy at all.
It's going to. I think it would. I mean, there's a lot of LeBron naysayers, and this is.
But aren't those people always going to say?
This is literally the gasoline that burns the house down. Right here, if he leaves the Lakers and goes to another team for a ring.
But I mean, if he was to do that like say like you said, see like next season or the season after that, like he's
like
in the back end
23 of his career.
Like he's in the back end of his career,
and no one's ever played. By the way, Vince Carter, I saw these stats. Vince Carter is the only other player to be in his 22nd season in the NBA. Vince Carter averaged 5 points a game, and he played 16 minutes a game. LeBron is still flirting with triple-doubles every game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, what else you got?
All right, big report from our former ESPN coworker, Bill Simmons, who's saying that Amazon's owner, Jeff Bezos, who's literally the richest guy in the world, I think he's has like $7 billion in a bank or $70 billion in a bank. I don't know what it is, some insane number. Might.
By the way, if you talk to him, let him know I returned something back. I still haven't got that credit back.
Jeez,
There's $7-8 on the line here.
That's right.
Come on, Jeff.
Well, Jeff Bezos is rumored to be buying the Boston Celtics. And that could affect LeBron because LeBron has an interest in the Fenway Group, which is
also bidding
for the Celtics as well. So it could be Bezos versus LeBron for the Celtics.
Okay, well, just that heads up. If it's Bezos versus LeBron, it's going to come down to bank accounts, and I think the other bank account might win on this one.
Yeah.
So I was looking into this, and I'm with you. The Fenway, let's see, it's the Fenway Sports Group, I think is what it's
Fenway
called.
Sports Group, yes.
So can LeBron own a team while he's still in the NBA?
He cannot. He would have to either sell his interest in the team or retire.
I was just going to say, they're not even expecting a sale to be completed until 2028, I think is the idea and the concept, so the timing might work in his favor. But isn't this kind of interesting? This is kind of where we are right now with sports and ownerships in sports. You don't really have these individual owners anymore that are worth X amount. Like Stan Kroenke, the only way that stadium got built at SoFi Stadium is because Kroenke is worth as much as he is, and he's like, I'll pay for it. Steve Ballmer, the only reason why that stadium's getting paid at Intuit or getting built at Intuit Dome is because he gave $450 million to just basically buy the Forum so he can have that land as well and then build the stadium. The owners today, and Jeff Bezos is a good example, bro, there's like next level money that's coming into sports that has never been there. There's huge groups that are coming in as well, and there's a reason for it. It's because it doesn't feel like these teams ever lose money.
And a couple things with Bezos, he tried to buy. He was also rumored to be buying the Washington Commanders.
I remember that. That's right, the NFL team.
And also, the NBA just went to Amazon right now, so lots of Bezos NBA connections right now.
Yeah, it's funny. Anytime somebody like that, loses, like they were not able. He wanted to buy the Commanders. I'm like, well, how did he lose?
I know, right? He has the most money. What the hell?
Yeah, and I'm just assuming that this is going to go to the highest bidder. So
how much say to say for like a guy like him coming in and he purchases the Celtics? How much say would he have in an organization? Because we know like Ballmer loves to spend. That's his model. He loves to spend. He likes to get guys. Will that be the same for Jeff Bezos?
This is the one thing I like about the NBA and where they are today. There are rules. You can't, if your baseball is a perfect example, there are no rules. You spend as much as you want. I do like that the NBA, you can have one of the richest owners in Ballmer. You can spend as much as you want on the front office. You can go build your own arena. You could do all that stuff. But there are boundaries of what you could do with your team. Obviously, the aprons is the thing that we've all been talking about over the years.
And the Celtics are expected to sell for over $6 billion.
$6
billion.
Man.
With a B.
Damn. That's DeAndre-type money right there. Okay. All right, good stuff there, Funches. Thank you, DeAndre. I appreciate you guys both with those NBA stories. Okay, so just a quick reminder, next week, no show for Lakers Talk. I will be on vacation. And then the following week, we're still figuring that out. You got Labor Day coming up, so we're still in the middle of figuring all that stuff out. But quick shout-out here. Thank you to Michael Funches. Thank you to Mario Ruiz. DeAndre, great job. Graham, a great job as well. L.A., always appreciate you guys hanging out, talking Lakers basketball. Hope you guys have